welcome to another episode of FAQ Mondays. I'm your host, Fluff, and you know what? We got some good questions on this one. This one's it's pretty good. If you have your own question that you would like to see on a future episode of FAQ Mondays, leave a comment down below, and while you're down there, please consider subscribing to further support what I'm doing. And with that, let's just jump into it, shall we? First question! Kyle asks, any chance of bringing back PRS SE reviews? Kyle, for 2025, I can promise you more PRS SE demos. I don't really do reviews per se. Like, difference being, I don't say like, this sucks, this sick, but this sucks. Like, definitely checking out more PRS SE stuff like I used to. I can make that commitment, absolutely. It's funny, I just had, long story short, my longtime beloved gal, Jeannie, from PRS retired. I loved Jeannie so much. Shout out to Jeannie, shout out to PRS. And I basically had a call with her replacement. And he was like, do you want to do anything? PRS stuff? And I was like, yes. He's like, cool. Let's hang out at NAMM. And I was like, okay, cool. So yes, more SE stuff. You got it. Justin asks, what do you think was the biggest turning point in your guitar journey to elevate your playing? Ooh, good question. We're getting deep. For me, it was getting out of my playing the same old covers every day. And I'm talking about my first, 20 years of existence as a guitar player. I would just play along to stuff on the radio. That's what we used to do back before the internet, kids. Joining bands was what got me better because it was always the writing process in any one of my bands that you have others' input going, hey, you should try something like this, or can you do something like that? Was always pushing me personally. And when Dragged Under first got off the ground, I was pretty challenged because I was not the one. I've long said, I wasn't the one writing all the music for Dragged Under. Did I participate and have a hand in writing? Yes, absolutely. But I wasn't coming in with finished songs being like, here, check this out, guys. No. Our producer had a heavy hand in writing. Hans had a hand in writing. Everybody had a hand in writing all that stuff. And so that meant when it came time to tour the songs, I had to learn that stuff. So that's what made me a better player and that made me get out of my comfort zone. But yeah, being in bands was always a huge turning point for my playing. Mesa Sean asks, are you no longer playing boogies or a boogie artist? I'm curious to hear your Marshalls as you move forward with them, as all I play are diesels and a 2C plus reissue, but mostly prefer diesel. Sean, thank you so much for your question. Okay, well, here's the skinny. I am no longer with Mesa Boogie, having nothing to do with the Marshall thing. Basically the story is, back about 6 months ago at the time of this airing, or as this filming, I made a comment on the Mesa Boogie group confirming or stating that Randall Smith had been fired. The comment was up for about 20 minutes. I get a call. Ring. Gibson are not stoked on that comment. Can you please take it down? So I take down the comment. It was up for 20, 30 minutes. The next day, Guitar Bomb, some magazine, some online guitar magazine in Europe or England or somewhere, I don't know where they are. Guitar Bomb uses a screenshot of my comment, writing an article breaking the news that Randall Smith had been fired from Mesa Boogie. And they were very, very upset with me. And they then told me that they would never work with me again. And they said, we will no longer support anything you're doing over there. So that is why I didn't have anything for the Mark IIc Plus, and I will not have anything for the new rectifier that is gonna launch right before NAMM. So yeah, that's slightly heartbreaking. That again, had nothing to do with me working with Marshall at all. Those were two totally independent things. And it's fine. It's super unfortunate. It bums me out that it has to go that way. But also looking at my Mesa Boogie stuff in particular is like looking at photos of an old girlfriend that you dearly loved or something. I don't know how to explain it. So I don't want to promote them and I don't want to promote Gibson at all on my channel, which is my choice. It's my channel. The new amps that they're putting out are awesome. They sound awesome. You guys will see a video that I shot at Sweetwater for the new rectifier that I shot 6 months ago. It's a great amp, and yeah, you guys will enjoy it. And there's plenty of other creators to make all of the content around the new Mesa Boogie stuff. No one's gonna miss my stuff. Totally fine. Justin asks, what album would you like to get the raw data, I think you mean tracks, to mix yourself? Ooh. Any album? Any album? I've been listening to a ton of AC/DC lately because I read Brian Johnson's book. I would have to say Back in Black. Anything off of the album Back in Black or the song Back in Black. I would love to take a look at those raw tracks, those multi-tracks. Oh, can you imagine that? Or, you know, anything from the Eagles, Hotel California, Life in the Fast Lane, New Kid in Town, anything from back in the day. Oh, I would love to take a crack at any of those mixes. Matthew asks, how did this NAMM partnership with Marshall come about? Great question, Matthew. Honestly, I am old friends with Steph Carter. He was recently on the I Call Top Bunk podcast with me, and he played guitar in an incredible band called Gallows. And back at South by Southwest, he was like, let us fly you down. Can you put some ears on some prototype stuff, the first version of some amps that you guys will see at NAMM? But at the time, these like prototype, super top secret amps. Can give these a listen and give us some input of what you feel like they're good at and what they're not good at. Literally, come on down and hang out. So I went down there for South by Southwest to Texas, to Austin, and I sat in a room with all the Marshall folks with these several prototype amps, and it was me going, nope, that's terrible. Oh, that's sick. Do that more. I don't hear what this switch is doing nothing. That has to be better. Where this mid-range sits is not great. And they asked me to be very honest with them. I was not the only one doing this. But I was happy to do that. And based on that experience, they were kind of like, hey, you wanna come to NAMM? I was like, yeah, sure. So I'm gonna be hanging out the whole time at the Marshall booth at NAMM 2025. Please come by, come say what's up, come play the new stuff. And yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Craig Schmidt asks, do you like Seymour Duncan Invaders? I love Seymour Duncan Invaders. I've been thinking about revisiting the Invaders specifically lately. Maybe putting them in a guitar. I don't know which one. I do have a Tom DeLonge Strat I should probably go and get, because I feel like the Invaders, they don't get a bad rap, but I feel like they're capable of much more than what they're probably known for today. Because let's not forget, James Hetfield had Invaders in his guitars when he recorded Master of Puppets, right? He was just looking for the hottest thing possible. A cool thing I've done with an Invader, or I didn't do it, but the cool thing that a buddy of mine did is he took an Invader and he removed the giant lugs and put regular screws, or regular grub screws in the pickup, so you can get the pickup closer to the strings, but it also takes away the huge magnetic pull that those big slugs have. And it makes it sound really, really cool, kind of like a more rounder distortion almost, Seymour Duncan distortion. So yeah, I think I'm gonna start playing around with Invaders a little bit more. Tom asks, after years of playing, have you noticed any degradation in your hands/arms due to playing heavier music? Tom, thank you for your great question. Not due to playing heavy music. I just turned 44. I'm old. And I am noticing how my body is changing before. Like picking up a guitar and just playing was never really an issue for me, because let's face it, I'm not doing anything that's very taxing physically. I'm not sitting there doing scales or shreds. I'm playing dumb guy riffs most of the time. And now, if I'm pre-warmed up, it's much more difficult for me to play what I want to play. I actually do have to warm up now. I never had to do that before. When I was on tour all the time, I never had to warm up either because you're playing so regularly, you're basically fine. But now, if I go a week without playing and I go to pick up a guitar, I'm like, oh no, like it literally crosses my mind, like, is there something like seriously wrong? Like a motor function or a muscular disease or something like that. Like I'm kind of a hypochondriac like that. No, I just need to warm up. I am noticing old age, starting to. And that's why I go to the gym 4 times a week now, just because I have to keep moving, right? So now I make sure to pick up a guitar at least once a day and do something with it for maybe even 15 minutes is totally cool. But no, I'm not noticing any degradation due to playing heavy music. I am noticing degradation as a result of old age. Kyle asks, what's a piece of gear, modern or vintage, you haven't gotten to check out that you really want to? Ooh, great question. I mean, I think the most obvious answer is anything old, right? 59 Burst would be super sick to check out. Never played one of those. I played I think the oldest guitar I've ever played and sat down with was a 62 Fender Jag. Back when I'd been playing for like a month, so I really didn't know what to do with it. And I was a huge Nirvana fan, as we all were in 1993, 1994. And my guitar teacher had a first year Jag, a Fender Jaguar. And that was a really, really cool guitar. I still remember how the back of that bare neck felt. It was really, really cool. Other than that, I would love to play, I don't know, anything old, because now when we find old stuff, someone's either tampered with it or it's totally worn out. It's very rare that it's in like tip-top playing condition. So old stuff is cool. As far as new stuff goes, the Karsten amps. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly off the top of my head. Karsten amps. I'm so sorry for mispronouncing, if I am mispronouncing that amp name. I saw the Smashing Pumpkins over the summer. Those amps sounded phenomenal, mixed with everything else. I would love to try more Aristides stuff, like 6-string stuff, not any of the crazy stuff, but more Aristides stuff. I would love to try, I don't know, there's a couple of things. There's not a lot. I get to try, admittedly, I get to try a lot of things. I don't know, I'm always looking to try more monitors, studio monitors, outboard gear, compressors, things like that. I find those things very, very fun. But yeah, as far as guitars and amps go, yeah, those couple, that'd be pretty cool. Kevin asks, how did you transition from local gigging band to world touring? Kevin, fantastic question. The answer is gonna seem stupid and obvious and silly and disingenuous, but I'm dead serious when I say we didn't play locally. We hardly ever played locally. Dragged Under, my old band Dragged Under, we made a conscious effort. We did not want to be a local band. And instead, it was more worth our while to venture out into the real world and build your fan base that way. So to illustrate that point, we played Seattle 3 times in 4 years, ever. I mean, that's, no, who does that? We wanted to spend all of our energy getting out of town, not playing in our town, because the worst thing you can do as a band, if you have goals for worldwide touring, is continually playing your hometown. Who cares? Especially Seattle. Seattle is a shadow of what it used to be music-wise, musically speaking. The scene now is basically a B or C location for touring bands, as it is. No one goes to shows unless you're a really, really big band. But as far as like the local scene goes, it's long dead. The last good scene that Seattle had was in, 2008 to 2012, maybe. The metalcore thing was raging on. Those were fantastic times. But, if you want to be a worldwide touring band, go tour worldwide. just do it. Chris asks, do you ever play any ESP guitars? Have you ever tried any of the Stephen Carpenter models? Chris, yes, I have. The Steph Carpenter models are some of my favorite. I've always wanted an OG. I know they reissued it. I should just get a reissue. The green 6-string Steph, the OG Steph signature model. As a 90s kid at the time, that was the greatest guitar ever. Like that was, oh, I think they reissued the baby blue one. Oh, so good. Personally, I always wanted one of the Japan only with the more or less Paul Gibson style lower bout. I always wanted one of the made in Japan single cut EC 1000s. Oh, I think it's an EC 1000. I don't know the exact model. It's probably not an EC 1000, but a single cut ESP, I would still love to find one of those and put it in regular rotation because those guitars are so nasty. Give me AMGs, give me a black one with gold hardware with the more, the Japan only lower bout. Yes, please. Matt asks, where do you think the Neumann KH310s fell short? Bottom end, maybe the range in the highs. How do you find the ear fatigue? Please give your pros and cons on these. Matt, you have 310s. Are you thinking about switching, bro? The 310s were cool. I don't know how to describe them. They felt metallic. They sounded metallic. Like they were less fun and more precise, but the top end, I don't remember them being that fatiguing, but you really couldn't get detailed in the top end. You're like, this all sounds great. And I know it doesn't sound great, but this all kind of sounds great. They were a great sounding monitor. I found them fairly accurate, fantastic low end. The mids were pretty good. The upper mids and the top end for me, over time, you begin to realize with your mix translation that maybe you need something else, maybe something faster or more detailed. I actually found the newer Neumann, if we're talking Neumanns, the KH150s to be a far superior monitor and also a 2-way design, not a 3-way design. So if there's any phase issues or anything, I'm not saying there are phase issues, but the KH150s were a 2-way design and basically the same frequency response as the 310s. But way more detailed sound. I don't know. The 150s were awesome. And last but not least, Mike asks, hey Fluff, when mixing, do you use studio monitors or headphones to listen to your mix? Which one is better for an accurate mix? Mike, thank you so much for your question. Generally speaking, I'm a monitor guy for a couple of reasons. It's extremely difficult to do mixes on just headphones for me. Lots of people do it with great success. I need moving air. Also, I only learned a couple of years ago, I actually have a damaged ear on my left side. I have a very sensitive left ear and I have some top end loss, which I've never actually talked about any of this stuff before publicly. But I had some physical damage when I was a kid and I never thought much of it until I had a hearing test when I went to go get some molded in-ears back in 2017 or that would have been 2019, I guess. And I have some top end loss on my left ear. Using headphones for me isn't probably ideal. So I like monitors, I like to feel the air. I also mix pretty quietly. And then I check on headphones. I usually check, all of us mix guys that I know are checking on Apple AirPod Pros because that's just indicative of what everybody's listening to. So yeah, mix with speakers, check on headphones. Don't use just one or the other too much. A good balance of both is usually sitting you pretty good. And that does it for this episode of FAQ Mondays. If you have your own question, leave a comment down below. While you're down there, click that subscribe button. And with that, you've been wonderful. I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.